Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of getting paid or moving from shooting for free to charging for your work. I get asked this a lot in private messages, and I always kind of give the same super basic response, which is do good work, of course, show it to people that pay for work, and that's how you do it. I mean, it seems simple enough, and on a lot of levels it is, right? But I thought I'd get deeper into that because maybe that's not enough information for people. Maybe people think I'm being snarky when I say that or whatever. So I figured, let me talk about it a bit. I'm going to mostly focus on the idea of charging people directly for photos, people being models or actors, those type of people, and a little bit about editorial / magazine stuff, although that varies so much that it's really hard to say. But what I'll say is what I mentioned is exactly what you do. First of all, you create great work, and then you show it to people that pay for work. And here's the thing. If you have been shooting, let's say for instance, you've been shooting a bunch of models or whatever that you found on Instagram or wherever you found them, and you decide you're good enough now to charge. What you don't want to do is next time those models call you, say, oh, well, by the way, I'm going to charge you now. That's never going to work. It's going to turn people off, and it's like kind of like, what? Same is true if some small local shop says to you, hey, shoot it now, and the next time we'll pay you. They're probably not going to pay you. Once you're doing something for free, people will never want to pay for it. I can tell you that from experience. That's pretty much the case, right? People aren't going to pay for it if you've been doing it for free. So what you need to do is look outside the market that you're in now. That could be done a few different ways. One is, let's say you've shot an actor for free and they really love the work that you did for them. You could say to them, hey, if you have actor friends and you want to refer them to me, that would be amazing. These are my rates. I know I did the shoot for you for free, but I can't shoot everybody for free. Same is true for models, clearly. Again, hey, our test shoot was really fantastic, but that's me and you, that's our deal. If you have friends that are models and they like your shots, if you send them my way, I'll give them a good price, but I have to charge for it. Even to the extent of you could even recruit some of these people to, I kick my tripod, you could even recruit some of these people to do it for you. Be like, hey, if you have some model friends that, need portfolio shots too, send them my way, and, I'll give you a free shoot, or if you're already giving them free shoots, I guess you could say, I'll give you a percentage of what you get from them, or you could say, hey, your friends will get a discount, just because I came from you, that kind of thing, right? This helps kind of bring it up, because I feel like a lot of times, especially in that kind of work, word of mouth is super important. And I think that can work especially in places where there's a large model community. Places, big cities are generally the place. I lived in Miami Beach, I lived in New York City, I've lived in Boston. All those places have a decent enough sized community that I think word of mouth can do a lot for you. That being said, let's go the other way. Let's say that you're doing that, or you don't want to do that, or you have some excuse because people are always like, I can't do that. Okay, fine. So let's think about who needs photos, right? If you're shooting just pretty pictures of people, I mean, of course there's, school pictures. There's, pictures of people do certain things, sports, dance. Then, of course, there's people that want to be actors, and there's people that want to be models. So where are all these people? The people that are serious about wanting to be a model or actor, what do they do? Where do they go, right? They go to an agency, right? So if you go to a modeling agency and you say, hey, here's my services and this is what I charge, that can be effective, right? Of course, you better be good. And I will say that this is one of those exceptions that make the rule, right? It's one of the few things, big bumblebee. It's one of those few things where you almost will have to shoot at least one for free at an agency, especially when you're first starting. Now, if you've shot for a lot of major agencies, you could go to smaller ones and be the guy, shoot for blah, 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 blah. And then if they're like, shoot one for free, you could be like, no, I shoot for these bigger agencies, take it or leave it, and you might be fine there. But if you're just starting, you probably will have to do one free test. But what I will say is this, make sure that that's clear up front. You're doing one free test, or two, or however many you decide you're gonna do. And that's up front. And then after that, they either like you and thus are gonna pay you, or they don't like you and they're not gonna pay you. So, get that down. And honestly, if you start shooting for an agency and they're giving you better models than you've ever had, and they say, listen, you know, we have somebody we're paying that we think is actually better than you, or however they're going to say it. They're pretty blunt to modeling agencies, they might say that, but we'll still give you, you know, shoots for free. It might be worth it for you to do that, right? Because that's a whole separate thing, because you need great pictures. That's the thing, right? In order to, no matter how great and cool or funky your work is or whatever, and you have all these different jills and you do all these techniques and whatever, if you are shooting a level of product that is not equal to the level you're trying to achieve, you're always going to seem like lower end. Meaning that if you shoot, you know, if you want to be a fashion photographer and you know, get paid by agencies, I should say, to shoot fashion models, and you show up at the agency with a bunch of, you know, pretty girl next door pictures, they're not going to take you serious as a fashion photographer. You need pictures of fashion models to do fashion photography. So what's going to happen is you've got to go to like the smaller, more boutique agencies and shoot girls and boys that are actual qualified fashion people that look like fashion models, and then go to the bigger agencies. You know, don't just show up there with pictures of your sister, because that's not going to work. I mean, unless your sister's a model. So keep that in mind, because you don't want to, you know, blow that connection. The other place too that you could go that works really well, I think, is if you go to schools, specifically either colleges that have drama / acting / music programs, and you go to the director of the program or whatever, and you say, hey, you know, I'm looking to do this kind of work. A lot of times, if you're good enough, you know, or you make a good enough impression, you will get, you know, students who are finishing up that need headshots. You know, they're going to an acting school, they're coming out, they need headshots. And I don't mean an acting school like a small little acting school, although those can also be good, but I'm talking more specifically colleges. And again, you might need to be in a city to find some of those. But even if there's just drama courses at a community college, you know, see if you can get in there and talk to those people. You know, you're gonna probably have to offer some kind of a discount until you get well known. And even if you are, you know, one thing I always do is give discounts to students, because the great thing about students is that they're the ones that come back. If you're in an acting school and you come to me for a headshot, I will always give you a discount, because if you love the work you're getting from me, you will continue to come back throughout your whole career. So, and you know, if anybody needs a discount, it's a student. So, you know, definitely do that. You can also go to like dance schools, you know, where like kids go, you know, or karate schools and stuff like that, where, you know, these are things where now the parents are going to pay for the pictures. And again, you're in a better position because you're not trying to like squeeze the last bit of money out of a graduating college student. You're getting it from like the parents, you know, that, you know, 12-year-old, you know, boy that's in the karate class, you know, he might want a picture of him doing his karate, and you're going to be able to charge and produce an awesome picture of that. Fantastic. How do you get in there, right? How do you do that? Because this is really what this video is about. Well, what I would do is I would maybe offer like a free group class picture. Like say, hey, listen, teacher, whatever they call it, karate teacher. Hey, listen, you know, I'll come in one day and I will do a class shot, I guess is a group shot or a class shot. I'll come in, get the whole class together, all in their outfits. I will photograph the whole class for free. If I can give my, you know, materials to, you know, solicit work from your class after. So basically, everybody comes in, they get the big group picture done, they get the picture, maybe they have to pay for the print or however you're going to do that, or you just give it to them digitally. But essentially, you're not doing that to make the money there. What you're trying to do is, that person might never have thought, hey, I can get a shot of my child in this karate, or the same thing's true of dance or ballet or whatever. Stuff, and you can just say at the end, hey, listen, if you guys want individual shots of your children, you know, contact me here, here's my information, you know. And then again, that's how you start that word of mouth, right? You shoot a couple of the students, the pictures come out great, next thing you know, more students are doing it. When you go the next time to shoot the next group class for the next session, you have older ones to show. You'll be like, oh, last year this many kids get their individual shots, and here they are, and look, they're breaking, you know, boards or jumping through the air or whatever they're doing. You know, they're cooler shots, and like the parents are going to be able to get with just their phone, because that's what makes us photographers, right? We're doing something cool and interesting. So again, it's like you need to think about who is willing to pay for the photos. So that's more of what I call retail photography, if you will. It's not the smallest part of photography. It's actually probably the biggest part, I would say, you know, selling directly to the consumer. This is, you know, wedding photography, class photography, baby photography. You know, all that stuff just becomes about the idea of finding people that want those shots done. You know, I used to share my studio with a great photographer, and she did pregnancy, and one of the things that she did was she would always do the pregnancy shot, and then she would do the shot right when the baby was first born, and then they would do it in like a month, you know, and she always had these like, you know, I don't know exactly how she priced or whatever, but like I'm sure she gave packages or whatever, and her whole thing was that once you grab them with those amazing pregnancy shots, and then you get them with the amazing, you know, first whatever 5 days or however they do it, shots, now you've got somebody hooked for life. They're going to always be your client. When the couple needs individual pictures, you know, like of them or whatever, or with the baby, they're going to get that. When the couples, you know, if they need a picture for LinkedIn, they're going to hire you. When the child goes to school and gets school pictures, they're going to hire you. You're building like a legacy of a client. It's just going to keep coming back. You know, and you could say this, if there's a couple that is having a baby, they probably know other couples that are having babies, right? This is just kind of the nature of the thing. We cluster towards people that are like us or doing similar things. So you can expand your business and do that kind of stuff. And she was a brilliant, you know, photographer. She did a great job at it. My work in particular was always more kind of commercial based. So my goals were to, I did make actually a big period of my life, I shot, you know, actors and models and stuff like that, and that was a decent chunk of money that I made. And it's actually really, really great business. I want to talk a minute about that too before I go this other direction. There's a lot of modeling agencies that are what we would call scam agencies. And you do not want to put yourself in a position where you are part of that, in my opinion. It's going to give you a bad reputation. These agencies will take anyone. They charge a buttload of money for the photos and whatever they're offering the students, and honestly, they never ever get the students booked in any jobs for the most part. These agencies are not really agencies. They're more like modeling schools, or however you want to say it. You got to really be careful. They're the kind of agencies that have like their people like in the malls, like going like, "Hey, you could be a model." Yeah, I would recommend highly staying away from things like that. It's not a good idea. I've definitely photographed many models who have ended up in places like that in the end, or came from a place like that, and then I run into them later and do their shots. And yeah, it definitely builds like a negative atmosphere around you that you really don't want. So the agencies that you should be working with are either they're fashion agencies, like clearly well-known fashion agencies where you can see when you walk in the agency, you see all the tear sheets on the wall of people they've actually shot. The girls and boys that are on the wall, their comp cards have actual tear sheets. You can tell these are working people, right? Those are great if you want to do fashion. The other agencies you want to work for are commercial print agencies. They should also have a similar feel. But generally speaking, any good agency I've ever worked for, the agency never took the money from the model to give to me. So that's important. The agency should not be making money from the pictures. Okay? Agencies will charge girls, and the myth or whatever that if an agency asks you for any money, they're a scam. That's not 100% true either. Sorry, I'm watching my feed. If you wonder why I keep looking over there, making sure it's working. That's not true either, right? If a girl's with an agency, they're going to be required to pay for like their room and board and the comp cards and stuff like that. Usually the agency will take that stuff out of their first booking. Sometimes they want some money up front. It really kind of depends. I mean, if you join an agency in New York City and they put you up in an apartment for a month and get a bunch of photo shoots for you and get comp cards made, and then you book nothing and you leave the agency, I'm sure they'll come after you for that money that you had. You know, you're accumulating debt. But hopefully they're getting you work, and that very first job you do, you'll make barely anything because it'll pay off all that stuff you put up front, and then after that it's gravy. But that's a whole other thing. Maybe we'll do a whole video about how modeling agencies work. But what I will say is this: from your point of view as a photographer, what you want is an agency that will put you on a list. Well, the motorcycles are coming. Agency will put you on the list, and what happens is when a new model needs photos, or one that's been working there, or an actor or whatever, they'll say, "Hey, here's the people we work with." They will recommend you. You know, I mean, every photographer has their own style, so they might be like, "Oh, you know what? I recommend, since you need new, you know, shots that are going to be beauty, you might want to work with Daniel because he's does beauty, but talk to all these other photographers, look at their work, see who you feel comfortable working with." Then when the model would contact me, they'd be like, oh, such and such agency gave me your number because I need such and such shots, and I know kind of what the deal I made with the agency about what I charge, and you know, because girls with agencies, I charge less money because bulk. That's just how that's a whole other video too. But anyways, I would be like, oh yeah, sure, you know, I can set it up, and then they would come in, they would do the shoot with me, deal with me directly, right? I would work with them, I'm working with them. They are my client. The agency's not my client. It's not going through the agency at all. In the end, they would get the photos, they would then bring them to the agency. They chose me, they paid me, it's done, right? Again, same thing with actors. A manager sends the actor to me, and I work with the actor directly. I don't, the manager might say, I want this, this, and this, you know, they'll kind of be part of it, especially in acting, but I don't, the actor or model doesn't give the money to the manager who then gives it to me. Because what that usually means is they're taking a piece of it. And if they're taking a piece of it, it means they make money from the photos, which means they're more likely to push photos on people that don't need them, unfortunately. So ethics-wise, I try not to work with agencies that do that. I really, really prefer that the model / actor pays me directly. Hope that makes sense. Okay, but I did get a direct message very specifically asking about magazine work, specifically fashion magazine work. And what I'll say there is this. This is a little bit trickier, but at the same time, it's pretty simple. It just requires a little bit more interpersonal skills and patience and, honestly, luck. So if you want to shoot for a magazine, get the magazine. That probably seems simple, but, you know, look at it. Make sure that your style suits that magazine. If your style suits the magazine and you feel like you're ready, you will find various people, fashion editor, you know, photo editor, all these people listed. You're going to try to make contact with those people. Depending on the magazine, there'll be different ways to do it. Ultimately, what you want is to make great images and show them to the people that hire you. But those are the people that hire you. So if you want your work to be in a magazine, you need to get your work in front of those people. Just putting it on Instagram is not the way to get it in front of those people. If it's an Instagram magazine, we'll say, which, you know, I've not really dealt with so much, but they usually have some kind of a system you can see. They have like hashtag us blah blah if you're interested, and then if they see your work, they like it, that works. If it's an actual magazine, you're going to want to probably send postcards, you're going to want to send promos, you're going to want to do a bunch of different things. A lot of times they don't want to get slammed with phone calls or emails, so they're not going to look at it. I found postcards are still a great way to do it. It's also great to see your stuff printed. But understand that when you send a postcard to a magazine, they will literally pick it up like this, look at it, hopefully, and it immediately goes into the trash can. If they like it, they will look at it, they will flip it over to see your name, and then they'll throw it in the trash can. If it's friggin' amazing, maybe they'll save it or put it on the wall for a minute. But the postcard is not about getting them to hire you. The postcard is about that when the opportunity arises, that you drop off your portfolio or that you get a phone call with them or you get whatever with them, that they remember your name. They flipped around your postcard enough times to see Daniel Norton, so when it's like, oh, Daniel Norton's portfolio shows up and my name's printed on the portfolio of Daniel Norton, they go, oh yeah, Daniel Norton, boom, and they look at it. That is what you're going for. Because there's a gazillion people that all want to shoot for these magazines. That's the way to do it. And you build relationships with photo editors and magazine editors because they move. And also they talk to each other. And those magazine editors / photo editors are going to hire you, and you'll build relationships, and they will continue to hire you once you're in. It's so much easier to keep a client, this is kind of basic business stuff, than it is to get a new one. So you don't need that many great clients, you just need a few, but it takes time to get them, and then you nurture them once you have them. You do a phenomenal job for them. You stay in contact without being a pain in the butt. And that's it. You know, it's as easy as that. If it's that easy. Then, the stage here, though, magazine work pays crap. So really the next step is, once you're in the magazines, what you want to do is then obviously work for the magazines that are ultimately going to lead you in the right direction. So I would work for, let's say, fashion magazines. That's going to make designers and advertising agencies and stuff see my work because they look in the magazines when they're looking at the cool new photographers that are out, right? So you're going to be in these fashion magazines. You're going to be, again, on their lips, on the tip of their tongue, however you want to say it, when your promo slash book slash whatever shows up in front of them. So the number of times that I've been able to get in with, you know, back in the day when I shoot more magazine work, into places just because they had seen me in the magazine was priceless. So all the times I shot editorials that had like a $300 a day rate where I spent $600 to shoot the damn thing because I wanted something awesome, so I lost money on it, it was worth it. You know, it was worth it because that led to the advertising job. And that's the kind of stuff you have to do. Not to say you should lose money on stuff, but you got to be smart about it. You know, it's like you only have so much money, but if your concept is a high concept and they're not going to pay for it and you think it's worth it, I mean, it's basically a test shoot. If it's a magazine, you're going to get, you know, the better of the models. It's basically like doing a test, except it gets published. You know, so it's totally worth investing in any of that kind of stuff. Don't, you know, penny pinch when it comes to things like that. You want to create the most amazing images in your editorial work because that's what's going to get you the advertising slash catalog work, which is not super creative but pays. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm curious if people that have stuck with this long, you know, if people are working photographers, like how did they get their first breaks? I think that's normally the question I get. It's usually, I've been shooting for a while, I have a really strong book, how do I start getting paid? It's not people that have been doing it for a while and they're just like, I don't get paid enough, or I stopped getting paid. It's, you know, it's like, how do you break that barrier? How do you make that step and say, hey, I'm a pro, I'm gonna charge for it? And I think this is it, you know? And part of it is you need to make the decision. You also have to know what exactly is going on, so that if you are, let's say we'll roll back to the actor slash model thing, if you are, like if a model approaches me and needs a portfolio shot or something, I would give them a price that I would charge. But I work with certain models, Marissa, let's say, all the time. I don't charge Marissa. You know, we work together, we test, we build our books together. We know that stuff is test shoots. If somebody tries to call me out on that and they're like, oh, but you didn't charge Marissa. Yeah, you're right, I didn't, because we have a relationship. You know, and that's basically it. And there's many models who actually started off by paying me that I occasionally would do something for at a discount or free because I know they're good for it. You know, it's like, oh, you know, this person would be great for this test shoot I want to do. Let me offer them some free shots. And so you're never going to get away from the idea of shooting some stuff for free. If you do, then you become what I call a hired gun, which is like the worst thing in the world. You never want to be a photographer that only ever shoots when you're getting paid. I feel like that is exactly the opposite of what you want to be. You want to shoot because you love it, and the fact that you're getting paid is like amazing, you know? And that's, in an ideal world, that's where I think you should be. So I'm curious as the people that are working, how they get there, especially if they're doing something completely different than what they thought they were going to do. I mean, I actually did quite a bit of bridal catalogs and some jewelry catalog once I was really kind of rolling. And honestly, I'd never shot, well, I mean, I shot a couple of weddings, but I never shot a bridal thing until I did my first bridal catalog. I always shot, you know, more like avant-garde fashion. And it just worked out that this bridal company called me and they said, hey, would you shoot this? And I did a great job for them and they became a great client. And then other people in that industry saw me and blah, blah. Next thing you know, I'm shooting that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would have never, you know, they used to say, shoot what you want to shoot, if that makes sense, like shoot the stuff you want and then you'll get that kind of stuff. But I say shoot what you think is awesome, create amazing images, and then just show them to people. Because, frankly, if you have a book full of pictures that look like a catalog, that's boring as hell, and nobody wants to see that. You need to know how to do that. That's super important, but you want to shoot creative stuff, you know. So I recommend doing that. That's probably another video too. So we got 3 possible videos coming out of this. I know this one's been a little bit long, but I think I just want to make it super clear that I'm going to come back to the very beginning and say, if you want to go from doing photography for free to getting paid for it, what you need to do is have amazing images and show them to people who will pay you, right? Don't show them people that aren't going to pay you. I mean, you can do that, but don't think everybody's just randomly going to pay you because you're good. There's people that pay for photography, and there's people that will never pay for photography. And if you want to work, you need to think about who wants to pay for it. And that's usually people that are going to use the images to make money themselves. So I'll kind of wrap by talking about a few basic areas if you're going after fashion slash acting. Acting is pretty basic, headshots. I mean, that's pretty much the only time an actor really needs photos. People are doing, you know, video segments for actors. I think that's going to become less and less popular because I think people can do that themselves. Honestly, I feel like if you're an actor and you're watching this, and I'm actually working on doing a video on this with Marissa, you could set yourself up to do self-taping so easily and you don't need to pay somebody to do that. I mean, I think that that's something that, you know, you could easily do yourself. I don't think that's really a good market, unless you just don't want to deal with any of the editing. So if you're just like totally like non-technical and you're like screw it, then yeah, pay somebody, whatever. But I think if you're just doing a quick scene, it's easy enough to put up a nice basic light and film yourself with like a little camera like this Mevo or even with your phone, and create some amazing stuff. So I don't think that's really, if I'm advising photographers, I would say not for that maybe, but I wouldn't count on it. I think actual headshots are the way to go. And also like little cool things like sequences with GIFs and stuff like that I think are cool too, but not so much scenes. I don't think that's really going to be a market. That's my prediction. I don't think that's really going to be a market that a lot of photographers are going to be able to make money in. The wider scope of models / fashion is people that want to be models and actually want to go to an agency, and so people that are with an agency are even better. There's also the people that want to say they're a model that will pay you to do a portfolio shoot. You'll get some of those. And then you've got your like, dancers, even musicians, that are in school or that are, need some kind of a headshot or a publicity shot, right? So those are all like good avenues. Commercially, you've got magazines, which are less and less of a thing now. So I maybe would go after more of these Instagram magazines. I think they're really interesting. And if I was just starting now, I think I'd be all over that, to be honest with you. But I think another avenue, kind of in final thought here, and again, because we're talking about just starting, not future, if you live in a place that has like a downtown or it's like a cool little place that's got like local shops, those can be great as a place to walk into and say, hey, let's make a deal. They may not be a lot of money, and you may have to maybe even do deals where you get store credit or whatever at first for the first couple shoots. But if you can shoot for a local store for their interior stuff like posters and their website, that's credibility. Because here's the thing. I guess I didn't mention this, so this is super important. Anybody that takes enough pictures can get 10 or 15 great shots in a portfolio, right? You take enough pictures, you're going to get some great shots. Having something published means that you did it on a job. Even if you didn't get paid for it. If you went to this local designer and you were like, hey, you have this little shop here, give me 10 of your dresses to shoot for the posters, just cover the expenses and the models and stuff and give me some store credit. Nobody knows that's what you did it for. Nobody knows you did it for a minimal rate. What they're going to see is you shot for the store and you've got published work. Because what it means is you went in that day and you worked an 8-hour day or whatever and you produced 10 images that were acceptable on a commercial level. And that then helps you move to other commercial projects. That's why getting the first ones are the hardest. Like when you shoot actors and you shot a lot of them, when you start getting a couple actors that actually say, hey, I got a booking from your shot, and they start spreading that out, that's why it's like, because not only did you make a great shot, you made a shot that got them a booking, right? Because it's part of it. When you shoot a model's comp card and next thing you know, she's in a catalog the next month because you shot those pictures that she showed when she went in there, that's great, right? That's what propels you forward. So you need that, right? And that's where you build up and that's where you go. So that's my advice there. Hopefully this made sense. Leave some comments. Let me know if you have more questions specifically about this. I mean, I could probably try to tap on some other industries too, but that's like your basic stuff, Again, put it in front of people. I think make sure you price yourself in a place that is competitive but don't just work on, I'm the lowest price and that's why people are going to hire me. That's a wrong way to go about it, but also don't price yourself crazy high. If you know that, the top headshot photographers in New York City get $1,500 to shoot a headshot and you're just starting, don't charge $1,500 because you're not them. No matter how good you think you are, you don't have the reputation. So, not saying to make it $100, find your spot in the middle that's going to work for you, but don't, keep in mind where you're at. So, hopefully that makes sense. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys later.